Faith, let's take another walk. Let's talk on the subject of being sick, ill, diseased, injured, whatever have you. What if somebody were to tell you that that is an option? That's a choice to be that. One of those, that's a decision just like choosing to put on a pair of shoes or choosing to go to the restroom. Now, your body may tell you, your bodily functions may tell you that it's time to make transition or to dispose yourself. But it don't necessarily mean you have to. You can withhold it, right? Or you could have another option of not going to the restroom. You could go somewhere else. It's all a choice, right? The choice of what Jesus has given us for us, like of conquering both sin and death, is that we don't have to have the punishment of the sin. What is sin? Sin is disobedience, right? And disobedience is a voice that makes us a God in our own eyes, and actually that is the voice of being a God of your own eyes, is to be in disobedience to God. Which means God is telling you to go left, and another voice is telling you to go right. Somehow we was convinced, or we may have been convinced, that that was us telling ourselves to go right, which that exercises our own right of independence. But actually, that's the voice of sin itself. The voice of sin keeps us in bondage, right? There's no victory in sin. So the best thing we can do is what? Find humility. Humble ourselves to the voice of the word, or to the voice of the Lord. Why? Because we believe that the voice of the Lord is the way, the truth, and the life to what? Victory. Victory is in what? Declaration. If you ask, you shall receive. You receive is based because you ask. The reception is putting yourself in a position based upon the ask, or the asking. The reception is based upon the asking. So let's go back to the subject. Sickness, illness, disease is an option, just like poverty is. It's an option. When you came into this world, it's a choice, right? It's a choice. It's a choice to be sick, disease, poverty, everything, right? How do we choose that as a child? As a child, our atmosphere, our surroundings, our environment is based upon a circumstance. That circumstance is a light force. It could be of good or of evil. And let's say, like, if there's a household of good, does that household of good walk around sorrow? No, because they have nothing weighing over them. That means they are free from the penalty of sin and death. But if the household is of evil, they walk around with heavy weights upon them. They can't help but to reproduce that heavy weight. Actually, they're trying to relinquish that heavy weight and bring it towards someone else, or release it towards maybe not necessarily someone else, but just to release it. Poverty is a choice. It is completely optional, just like sickness and disease and illnesses. It's optional. A person may say, well, I was born with this stuff. Okay. You was born with the environment or the culture that you were in. It's like when you go to the doctor, they tell you, they will ask you, they'll ask you a question about any kind of background. There's any sicknesses or any disease or illnesses. And they want to trace it back so they can have like a root to where the source of it, where it's coming from. Can they stump out the root? If it's passed down like 3 different generations, can they stump out the root? No. So what's the point of tracing it? Just so they can pin something on something, right? So if they trace back the roots of 3 generations, for them to tell you that, hey, you're sick because of 3 generations of being sick. So they got something for you to pin it on. So in this case, if their medical science can't heal you, they can pin it on 3 generations. But that's not curing the root. That's why medicine is not made to cure the root. It's mere mainly to treat the root. Why? It's so you can take over and cure the root. Most cases when people are sick or ill or diseased, they are without hope. And hope makes us ashamed. Why? Because of the sin. The sin is what? It's a voice that beats us down. It's a voice of torment. It is the voice of disobedience, and it leads us to be tormented, right? But if we could dismiss that voice, we have no reason to be ashamed, and we are then what? Full of hope. And if we are full of hope, our joy is restored, our peace is restored, love is restored, right? So we have all the necessities that we need to what? To get our soul back healthy. And we actually taken our soul back away from the thief, which makes it completely optional to be sick, ill, or diseased. You go back to the doctor with that frame of mind, that frame of thinking, and they say we can't find a disease because a disease, or illness, whatever, is spirit-based. There's nothing natural about it. It's spirit-based. If the soul is not in peace, how can the soul be free? It can't. So this is where all the theologies, the religion, the logic, and everything and so forth try to make what is or what's not based upon what? The results that they've foreseen of someone else. But you are the witness if you are healed, if you are in poverty, or if you are sick, if you are free. When the statement comes and when the statement has been said, give it to the Lord, this is what this means. This is what this means. Give it to the Lord means just that. How do you give it to the Lord? You have to invite him in. That means you have to be willing to relinquish the voice of the enemy. Now, let me remind you of this. I'll remind you of this. Be mindful of this. Giving it to the Lord, or it's actually separating yourself from being independent or being of independence. You're no longer a God in your own eyes where you can make your rules. If you're going to give it to the Lord, you're surrendering yourself to his authority. Now, when you surrender yourself to his authority, you are becoming what? A servant. A servant to what? A person like, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to come from serving something to serve something else. One thing about it, you came from serving something that was robbing you of everything. You being without, from the spirit to the soul to the body, you were serving the thief. But now it's trying to serve something that's even greater than the thief, a restorer. So if you do kneel to Jesus, you're not kneeling to him like in a religious form or tradition form or some kind of form of a ritual of customs. You're basically giving up your authority to serve torment or to serve peace. If you so choose, you invite him to be Lord, which means that you place him above everything else, not in words, but his spirit will come inside you and will lead you. And it's either you're going to be led by the spirit or you're not. Either you're going to listen to that spirit or not. The moment that you don't, you're back in the same condition that you're in, and everything that you just received of God or God took it away from you, the enemy going to come back with 6 times the amount of that. All right, people of faith. You are the blessed. Let's be the blessing. Let's keep walking.